once nothing is done to somebody, once nobody pays a price for criminality of this nature, it only breeds further violence. And so, what we should also add there is that the law enforcement agencies must be up to task. The husband of the woman that was killed in Kogi has identified those who came and did this dastardly act, but nothing till today. We have not heard. All that we have been hearing is all manners of excuses for that. And we will also say this: where there is now a pattern, if you don't curb it through the use of law enforcement, you will only see that pattern continue to grow. And we would want to urge all the legal instruments that can be used in this country to be able to curb electoral violence today. Thank you.
Senate Leader.
I'd like first to express my appreciation and gratitude to distinguished Sam Kibo for rising to once again bring to our attention this very disturbing specter of violence regarding electioneering processes in this country. This has been with us for a long time, and particularly since the emergence of this republic in 1999. Mr. President, the specter of violence and its attendant consequences is one of the most unhealthiest events in our country, and for which I think all of us politicians, irrespective of the party to which we belong, have a responsibility to address and to curb. Otherwise, we may also become its victims. We are riding on the back of a tiger. If we don't take care of the direction which it will move, it will also swallow us. So, Mr. President, at this point, I would also like to really express my appreciation and also to gratitude to the point that the minority leader has raised. The need for us to get the security agencies to really do their jobs. Our failure to prosecute and punish the perpetrators of electoral violence who are known is going to lead to the perpetration of this act because it adds to the impunity of the process. Therefore, I think it is important if the minority leader and myself can come up with a bipartisan bill to look at the punishment for electoral violence and see how we can raise a law in this particular chamber, and also in the Federal House of Representatives, to really take due note of this process and prescribe a legal regime that is going to be able to address it. Electoral violence knows no partisanship. Let us be very, very clear about it. All the politicians on all sides are guilty. Violence did not start when APC came to power. Violence started, as I said, from the beginning, particularly it got bad from the beginning of our democratic journey from 1999. Of course, there were some pockets of violence in the previous democratic experiences, but they have not been as bad and terrible as they are today. If we don't curb this particular phenomenon, it's going to be very dangerous for our polity. So, Mr. President, I want to sympathize for all those who were maimed and who lost their lives, and also to invite my colleagues to look at this thing as a danger to the entire polity and not to make it a partisan matter. It is not. It is not a partisan matter. Therefore, for us, we should take responsibility and come out with necessary legislation that will go a long way in curbing this very, very ugly trend in our political process. I thank you, Mr. President.
In favor of prayer 1, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Observe a minute's silence in honor of those that lost their lives in this just concluded Bayelsa and Kogi elections and all previous elections. Those in favor of prayer 2, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3. Urge the National Orientation Agency, NOAA, and Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to carry out continued campaign against electoral violence in subsequent elections. Those in favor of prayer 3, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer. Minority Leader.
Security agencies to expeditiously apprehend perpetrators of electoral violence in all the areas where they are and charge them accordingly.
Additional prayer. Well, Senator Gesham Bessie.
I think there was also post-election violence. So we need to observe a 1-minute silence as well for the PDP woman leader who lost her life in post-election violence.
Before we do the 1-minute silence, let me say that this is a very important motion. And of course, the minority leader as well as the Senate leader spoke the minds of all of us here. No party is absolved from this blame. And it is for us politicians to ensure that we continue to enlighten our people to face politics as a game of ideas. I believe that those who perpetrated the violence, especially in the last elections in Bayelsa and Kogi, should be apprehended and prosecuted. And I believe that this is the way to go. People should pay the price of their actions. With this, let me call on us for 1 minute's prayer. Observe 1 minute silence. The souls of our departed compatriots rest in perfect peace. Amen.
I am Senator Barrow Jibrin. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, I come under Order 43. With your permission, I read. By the indulgence of the Senate and leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. Terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when the leave to make it is sought. Mr. President, thank you very much for giving the opportunity, and I want to use this opportunity as the chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations to update the Senate on the state we are in the processing of the 2020 appropriation bill. Mr. President, we've been able to collate all the reports of the subcommittees, and we've so far analyzed these reports. We've been having this night, and we've been able to put everything together, a team of experts. Mr. President, the stage we are now is where we've done everything in respect to the process. What remains now is to cross-check and make sure that there's no mistake, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. Thereafter, we'll now go to print because we want to submit the report with the details. And this what remains now will take us up to Sunday next week. So by Monday, we should be able to have the clear report, the clean details and everything, and then we lay on Tuesday. So I just feel it's good I inform this August Senate so that you know where we are and what we are doing. Thank you, Mr. President.
But if I understand you right, you are working with your colleague in the House of Representatives, is that correct? The Chairman, House Committee on Appropriations. And of course, Tuesday will be the 3rd of December, is unfailingly. Chairman Finance, are you part of it? Because you are. Oh, okay. Okay. So the Senate will give you an additional week, but that is unfailingly. Tuesday, next week will be 3rd of December 2019. And by the grace of God, we should be able to lay it here. And then the Senate should pass it within that week, by the grace of God.
The 5th of November every year is set aside to celebrate the International Day of Elimination of Violence Against Women. And that was yesterday. So, my motion is on that.
Well, I'll put the question, but I'm sure you'll get the right answer. Those in favor that we allow our distinguished colleague, Senator Betty Apiafi, to move her motion under orders 4252, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. You can move your motion.
The motion is 2019 International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Generation Equity Stand Against Rape. And the Senate notes that the United Nations General Assembly designated 25th of every year as International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women in its resolution 48/104 of 20th December 1993. The premise of the day is to raise awareness to the fact that women around the world are subject to various forms of violence, rape, domestic violence, trafficking for sexual and domestic slavery with impunity. The Senate further notes that the theme for this year's deliberation is Orange the World, Generation Equality, Stand Against Rape. The theme is very apt as it speaks to the issues of rape, which has assumed an alarming and unprecedented dimension in our nation. The Senate further notes that the orange color has been adopted globally due to what it represents in nature. The color orange combines red and yellow to give an alluring look, which is said to represent emotional strength in difficult times. We hope that this year's theme, Orange the World, will give some hope to victims of rape. The Senate is aware that violence against women and girls is the most pervasive human rights violation. As representatives of the people, the Ninth Senate shall continue to do whatever it takes to stop this menace. We shall not allow people to blame indecent dressing among women as the cause of rape. The cases of rape of 2-week-old and 6-month-old babies, or rape of 60 to 80 years old women, clearly tells us this menace is more deeply rooted. The Senate is further aware of the recent attack and burning to death of our sister and mother, Mrs. Salome Abu, the PDP woman leader in Kogi state election. The attack and humiliation of female candidates in the same election. The death of Ochanya Elizabeth Ogbanja, a 13-year-old junior secondary school student of the Federal Government College, Boko, who died as a result of complications from various forms of sexual violence, rape, abuse by her uncle and cousin. The BBC Sex for Great saga and many more of such deep-rooted violence against women and rape, which has reached unprecedented level in our nation. The Senate is concerned that in the year 2019, we remain in a remarkable year in the history of Nigeria as the issue of rape and violence against women reached a climax, revealing the hydra-headed monster we have been dealing with over time. The Queensland School Lagos rape case, where a teacher defiled a 2-year-old and was jailed for 60 years. The Ekiti State conviction in favor of a 7-year-old girl raped by a 53-year-old man, and so many more such cases reported and unreported. The trafficking of persons for sexual and domestic slavery has also taken a toll on our community. The recent slave camps discovered in Kano, Oyo, and Kaduna states, where young boys and girls are held as slaves and constantly raped by those who are meant to take care of them. All this show that our women, minors, both male and female, are no longer safe in our communities, homes, schools, and worship places. The Senate commend all concerned stakeholders, both local and international, who made it possible for the launch of the Nigerian Sexual Offenders Register, which was launched yesterday. The launch of the register is a major step in the fight against this menace that has bedeviled our society. The register is a database of all sexual offenders categorized as those who have been convicted and those who are linked with sexual offenses. This is in line with Section 1, 4, and 42 of the Violence Against People Prohibition Act 2015. Alongside the Sexual Offenders Register is a database of service providers, professionals, and caregivers that citizens report sexual violence to, and even perpetrators can also approach for advice and support. Accordingly, the Senate resolves to 1. Condemn the killing of Mrs. Salome Abu, the PDP woman leader who was set on fire in her home and allowed to die in the most relevant way. Observe a minute silence in her honor. 2. Urge the Inspector General of Police to ensure the arrest and prosecution of all those involved in the murder of Mrs. Salome Abu. The Senate also condemns the violence against female candidates in the just concluded Kogi state elections. 4. The Senate felicitates with Nigerian women on this year's International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. The Senate also commends stakeholders, both local and international, for the launch of the Sexual Offenders Register yesterday, 25th of November, 2019. Finally, the Senate urged states who are yet to domesticate the Child Rights Act of 2003 and the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015 to do so for the socio-economic development of their states and the nation at large.
We have issues, and we need to talk about these issues so that we can also find reasons for laying them away. Mr. President, as you know, we're battling so many things, especially as women. Violence against women, rape, taking undue advantage of our gender is a major problem in our country. And right now, the elections have opened us up to worse cases of violence, especially that of the woman leader of the PDP in Kogi State. Mr. President, going through this motion, I have seen that something serious is being done, especially as concerns the Nigerian Sexual Offenders Register. And I am urging the people in charge of the register to kindly include men of influence who are involved in all this misconduct. Mr. President, the time has come for Nigeria to take a serious stance against violence, against rape, and especially during elections. I believe that our colleagues will support this motion, and I know that going forward, Nigeria needs to sit together and do something about violence, especially violence against women and children. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, my dear colleagues, I rise to identify and support this motion on the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Mr. President, if you listen to the news or you watch the news these days, you'll be alarmed at the rate and volume of violence against women. Mr. President, you have read cases where women are abducted just to harvest their private organs for whatever that is used for. Mr. President, there's a case, harrowing case of a woman from Benue State who was kidnapped and for three months was used as a sex slave. As she recounted her story, she said she was lucky to have escaped alive because right there in the camp, lots of women were used in similar fashion and some killed after that. So you begin to ask yourself, what kind of country are we living in now? When you have month-old babies raped, you have children raped, and then you have women raped. And I understand they now harvest underwears of women too, for whatever purposes that those are used for. So I think this is a matter we should take to the front burner, not just on this day that has been targeted by the United Nations for the elimination of violence against women, but every other day, so that we get to eliminate some of these days some of these practices. It is not just about this motion, it's about getting the agencies concerned, like national orientation agencies, to drum it into the ears of those who are into such practices, that it's a new wind that blows nobody any good. So I want to identify with this motion, and I've gone through the resolution that I sought, and I support all of them. I also ask my colleagues to support this motion because it's very, very important in the light of what we are witnessing today. Thank you.
I am Issa Jibrin, representing Kogi East. I want to thank the promoter of the last motion in respect of the violence, electoral violence, especially the one that has to do with Kogi State, and in particular, the woman in question. I want to say here that woman only happened to be a victim of the circumstance. She was a very peace-loving woman. And the attack on her was a retaliatory attack. An attack was mounted on supporters of APC after Bayelsa was declared the winner of the election in her area. 2 people almost died. They are still on danger list in the hospital, arising from that attack. It was a retaliatory attack on PDP members, and unfortunately, she became the victim. Very painful. Way forward, Mr. President, I want to believe that there is an urgent need for a bill in respect of election violence in Nigeria. A bill that will institute various deterrent measures. A bill that will address pre-election, during election, and post-election violence in Nigeria. I almost lost my life during the last election in Kogi State. Some people are still on danger list. One person died yesterday arising from the violence. And I think the same thing also happened at various locations in Bayelsa State. I want to propose that, way forward, there should be sanctions that will act as deterrent to an occurrence of any form of violence before, during, and after elections in Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. President.
This motion is not about violence, electoral violence. This motion is about violence against women. So I think the mover of the motion only used the example of that thing. So let's not confuse this motion from the one that we took before it. Very distinguished Senator James Manager.
After listening to the last speaker, you needed to redirect the House. And that is understandable, Mr. President. Because the last speaker specifically brought out the Kogi one as an example and also gave reasons why it happened. So that naturally would elicit reactions. And because you are a seasoned lawmaker now presiding, you knew or you know what is likely to come after his contribution. And I'm sure you have directed us well. Having said that, Mr. President, in the society we live in, whether anybody likes it or not, where there is a man, there is a woman. And where there is a woman, there must be a man. These two must be together at all times. Otherwise, there will be no society. And if you remember your Bible or the Quran, on all the religious books, you know how God created this world. And the way God created this world, from the beginning, that is how it has always been. And it will continue to be so. And believe you me, between a man and a woman needs all the protection of a man. God created the world like that. And therefore, at every given point in time, there is this struggle on the part of women to be recognized, to be respected. And that's the very essence of this motion. And of course, brought to the Senate by no other person than the chairman, Senate Committee on Women Affairs. And the members of the committee, which of course includes all the women. And there are other men who, who also tire apart like women. It has always been so on the floor of the Senate. It has always been so, and those who move very close to women at all times, they are also members of the committee. So, Mr. President, that struggle, we must encourage it. We must do everything humanly possible for women to get to where they must be. And we hope and pray that one day there must be an elected governor of a state that is a woman. Not indirectly, like what happened in another state. One day, starting from the state, one day, we must aspire to ensure that one day a woman will lead this country. The men have been leading, and the results are there for everybody to see. So one day, let us try a woman to lead this country. Mr. President, the mover of the motion also brought out the Kogi example. In a way, although you have directed the house, let us at least protect women at all times. The Kogi case was most unfortunate, and I condemn it. From in everything in me, I condemn it. Whether it is retaliatory or else, that must never happen. And I want to agree with the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Those who did that act, this dastardly act, they must be brought out. And if they have been arrested, as reported in the media, they must be paraded for everybody to see. That is the first step. And the police usually celebrate parading suspects. This one, I have seen that. This one must not be swept under the carpet. For a woman to be born to death, I think it's an abomination. Mr. President, having said all that, I support this motion, and I want to urge my respected colleagues to also support the motion, so that let the women get to where they should be. At least one day, Alero, with the distinguished senator today, will allow a woman to take over from him. So one day, the Senate President, who has been here for the past 20 years or so, he will allow a woman to take over from him. Mr. President, having said all that,
and I know that every senator here is directly or indirectly too close to mother. We know that as growing up kids, you don't dare abuse my mother and go free. You can abuse my father, and I will not respond to you. That tells how important women are in society and to us generally. But I think it's high time, Mr. President, that we listen to women of Nigeria particularly and make a loud condemnation of this violence against women. Most of us do not know that women are going through a lot of emotional torture. Women go through a lot in our political system, in our social life system, because somehow I don't think our nation have taken this matter seriously. It's becoming like a national anthem, that when we say it and everybody just sing it anyhow. But I think we should listen to this motion, and first of all, as the Senate, totally condemn this and dramatize it. And those who do this will be the men
and leaders of our society. But for some reason, most men believe that women are I agree, but it's not the case. They're also human. My dear sister, distinguished senator, I support you in this motion, but I think a step should be taken further by women of Nigeria. Because if there are cooperation among the women, I'm sure the women will defeat the men. But first of all, also put the gospel that women must come together to fight this, not just a little voice. Because the 13-year-old girl raped, immorality everywhere, decay of morals in our society, 2-year-old baby, we hear all these cases, and somehow it's swept under the carpet as if it is nothing. Are we waiting until it becomes our daughters, our wives, and our mothers that are directly involved that before we can react? I think the time has called for urgency now that we should address this issue of violence against women, whether emotionally or physically against any woman. And Mr. President, though you have spoken on the issue of Kogi, we have talked about it, but people should be raising this up. When things of this nature come, let us not politicize it. Let's condemn it. It's not political. It has nothing to do with politics. Once death comes to a matter, irrespective of your party affiliation, we must condemn it totally. There's no excuse whatsoever. No one should make an excuse or make it look like it has been a tradition. It's not just a tradition. Even if it's a tradition, it must stop. And nobody's blood should be led for issues of election. And our electoral act must be guided accordingly, so we can stop this violence and hate and political practice. And who are we deceiving? We're deceiving the society. Today we're PDP, tomorrow we're APC, tomorrow we're APC, tomorrow we're PDP, which means we're looking for opportunity to just get to power without considering the impact of the negativity on the poor masses of Nigeria. So I support you, madam, that this issue must be taken to a higher level and the city must lead a campaign against violence on women. Thank you.
In our home and allowed to die in the most gruesome way, and observe a minute silence in our honor. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Urge the Inspector General of Police to ensure arrest and prosecution of all those involved in the murder of Mrs. Salome Abu. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3. Condemn violence against female candidates in the just concluded Kogi state elections. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4. Felicitate with Nigerian women on this year's International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 5. Commend stakeholders, both local and international, for the launch of the Sexual Offenders Register yesterday, the 25th of November 2019. Those in favor of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And prayer 6. Urge states who are yet to domesticate the Child Rights Act 2003 and the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act PAPP 2015 to do so for socio-economic development of their states and the nation at large. Those in favor of the prayer 6 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. 1 minute silence. May the gentle soul of Mrs. Salome Abu rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill sent in the name of distinguished Senator Stella Adazi Odwa on the Protection of Personal Information Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Protection of Personal Information Bill 2019, SB 7, first reading.
No, Personal Information Bill 2019, SB 7, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Ifeanyi Uba on the Erosion Control and Prevention Commission Establishment Etc. Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
President, distinguished senators, Erosion Control and Prevention Commission Establishment Electoral Bill 2019, SB 142, first reading.
Erosion Control and Prevention Commission Establishment, ETC Bill 2019, SB 142, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
My highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Mpigi Badinada of the Federal University of Environment Technology, Sakpepa, Tai Ogoni, River State, establishing a statutory bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the clerk of the Senate to read the short title.
Prime University of Environmental Technology, Sakpepa, Tai Ogoni, River State, Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 200, first reading.
Sakpepa, Tai Ogoni, River State, Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 200, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Obasani on Federal College of Forestry Technology Research, Beningwari, Kaduna State, establishment Etc. Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal College of Forestry Technology and Research, Beningwari, Kaduna State, Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 201, first reading.
Federal College of Forestry Technology and Research, Beningwari, Kaduna State, Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 201, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Obina Oba on the National Sports Commission Establishment Etc. Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Sports Commission Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, first reading.
National Sports Commission Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 202, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
My highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Gabriel Siswam on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2019. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Alteration Bill 2019, SB 204, first reading.
Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2019, SB 204, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
The seventh business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Abdullahi Adamu on Export Prohibition Act, Cap E22, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Export Prohibition Act, Cap E22, LFN 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2019, SB 205, first reading.
Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2019, SB 205, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
And distinguished colleagues, the eighth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Sabo Mohammed on Export Prohibition Act E22, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2019. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the ninth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Barrow Jibril on the Northwest Development Commission Establishment Etc. Bill 2019. Mr. President, may we to
Minority Leader, the Senate is waiting for Senator James, manager, and we are waiting for you people to finish your joint meeting. You know. Leader, you can continue.
President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the ninth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Jibril Barrow on the Northwest Development Commission Establishment Bill 2019. Mr. President, I wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Northwest Development Commission Establishment Extra Bill 2019, SB 207, first reading.
Northwest Development Commission Establishment Etc. 2009, SB 207, first reading taken.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the 10th business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Biodun Oluji on the Gender and Equal Opportunity Bill 2019.
First reading.
Private Detectives and Investigators Bill 2019, SB 210, first reading taken.
The 12th business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Senator Patrick Abamoro on the Federal University of Health Sciences Otukpo Benue State Establishment Etc. Bill 2019. The President may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Health Sciences Otukpo Benue State Establishment Etc. Bill 2019, SB 216, first reading.
I want to second this very bill as ably moved by the leader, that it be read the second time. And I think in doing so, I want to add that it's a very straightforward bill. The university has been established since the days of, all right. It's been established, like the Senate President has said. They are already in operation, and all that this bill seeks to do is to give them the enabling law so that they now have an act for which they can be properly guided in their administration and management. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I think this issue does not require any hot debate. It's a very straightforward issue, and perhaps with these few comments, I can also ask my colleagues to support that the question be put. Thank you.
And therefore, they could establish universities by fiat. There is nowhere in the world where a university is established by fiat. Legitimacy is a status, while legitimization is a process of conferring status that was not initially there. So what this bill seeks to do is to undertake the process of legitimization of the establishment of that university in Gashua. So, like the Deputy Whip have said, it's a very straightforward bill. Mr. President, I want to urge that in the spirit of this 19th, to make sure that the entire country is footed based on the rule of law, it is important that in doing this, we should equally look at all the other universities that were established by fiat and cumulatively bring them into legal existence in accordance with the principle that we have already believed and told Nigerians we are going to do, that we will take the country from a darkest period to a lighter period, where every issue of governance is determined by law. It is on this basis that I second the establishment, the legitimization, the establishment of the Federal University of Gashua, this bill called SB 150. Thank you very much.
My very good friend Nala, for deliberately obscuring the fact that it was PDP that established.
The distinguished minority leader, the university was established by the federal government of Nigeria.
Thank you. Under the PDP regime. Let me also say this, that I want to support this bill in its entirety, just to remove the negative tag of the name Gashua.
Is there any point of order?
Let it now be the university that we used to know Gashua, and not for incarceration. Thank you. I so support.
Senator Francis Adenigba.
I'm very, very glad to hear this, that finally we are putting serious backings of Joshua University. And I'm very happy for our guy here that during your time, there's a university to decongest University of Maiduguri that is already congested. We have a lot of higher institutions around there that will feed Joshua University, like Poti School, College of Education, Damaturu Technical College, and so on. It's going to liberate a lot of things around that area, which is a very good idea that has been brought down here. And for today, I'm very, very happy for you that the people there will be very happy, and the type of quality program they are going to undergo will liberate the whole region. And I support the whole idea, and I now seek the support of the Senate to put more funds so that it will not be like that. Because that area needs a lot of educational liberation. And with this, I wish University of Joshua that has come to stay good luck and prosperity. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished colleagues, I think I'll put the question. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clap the Senate.
A bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Joshua to make comprehensive provisions for due management and administration and for related matters 2019, second reading.
Due management and administration and for related matters 2019, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to Committee on Tertiary Institutions, Fund, and report back within 4 weeks. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, you may invite distinguished Senator Emmanuel Bacha, the Deputy Minority Leader, to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Mr. President, very distinguished and respected colleagues. Mr. President, on a lighter note, I was sharing with my leader, I said, I'm going to liaise the presidency of the Senate to ensure that we give his name to the boy for firing negativity on Joshua. So, Mr. President, I want to thank you and distinguished colleagues for this opportunity to lead the debate on this very important bill for the establishment of the Federal University of Kogi. We all know, Mr. President, the significance of education. There will be no need actually to overburden the issue because it's a sector that desires our attention. So they need to have a strong system in our educational sector. Institutions of university status is very, very important. Mr. President, just like the bill we just passed, the Federal University of Kogi is among the 6 universities that were established. In 2012, it has turned out well over our 4th set of graduates since establishment. It was quite the foresight of the government then, the government of the day, as Minority Leader did say. The universities are all over the region, 6 regions. But this bill was passed in the 7th Senate. While in assenting to it, we were taken aback of its mysterious disappearance. It came up again in the 8th Senate. It was passed in the 8th Senate, but the President, Commander-in-Chief, raised on observations bordering on visitor in the interpretation clause to be changed to the word President. That has been taken care of in this new presentation. It was actually the only area, the only observation that was raised and the bill was returned. It was returned at the close of the Senate, so there was no sufficient time to represent the bill. And so it does not really call for most of the fireworks that is needed in this have been done. The trade December actually with the Federal University Gashua. So the object of the university, among others, as we are all aware, is to encourage advancement of learning and to hold out to all persons without distinction of race, creed, sex, or political conviction the opportunity of acquiring a higher education in science and technology. To develop and offer academic professional programs leading to the award of diplomas, first degrees, postgraduate research, and higher degrees, which emphasize planning, adaptive technical maintenance, development, and productive skills in engineering, scientific, agricultural, medical, and allied professional disciplines with high moral standard and capability, not only to understand, use, and adapt to existing technology, but also to improve on it and develop new ones. To act as agent and catalyst through postgraduate training, research, innovation for the effective and economic utilization, exploitation, and conservation of the country's natural and human resources. To offer to the general population as a form of public service the result of training and research to foster the practical applications of this result. To establish appropriate relationship with other national or private institutions involved in training, research, and development of science and technology. To identify technological problems and needs of the society and to find solutions to them within the context of overall national development. It should be noted that the university has since, like appointed as Mr. President, commenced academic activities for 6 years or 7 years running now. All that is required is the needed legitimacy to continue with activities. There is no need, Mr. President, of debating this bill at the 7th and 8th Senate, like I said, debated it extensively, in which 2 public hearings were conducted. It is in view of this and many more valid points that cannot be exhausted in this short debate that I urge the support of my colleagues that this bill be read a second time. I therefore move the bill be referred to the Committee of the Whole for the debate to continue. Let me just stop at that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Basi Albert Akpan.
Mr. President, I rise to ably second this lead debate on the establishment of the Federal University will carry, and that based on the contents of the lead debate, Mr. President, we believe that exhaustive work has already been done, and an exception of the issue that was raised by the President CNC in the last administration. So, Mr. President, I therefore believe that there is not much to be said about this motion, but to direct, as you have directed, that it should be seconded for further legislative action. I so second, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
In favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to establish the Federal University will carry to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for other related matters, 2019, second reading.
To establish the Federal University will carry to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for other related matters, 2019, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and Third Fund to report back in 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
I highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Criminal Code Act Amendment Bill 2019. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 24th September 2019. Mr. President, we need to invite the distinguished Senator Oluremi Tinubu to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is a privilege to lead the debate on the principles of a bill for an act to amend the Criminal Code Act Cap C38, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. This bill attempts to delete portions of Section 218 and 221, amend the definition of rape as contained in Section 357, and increase punishment for the offense of kidnap in Section 364, and was first read on the floor of this Senate on Tuesday, 24th September 2019. The globally accepted aims of criminal law and the criminal justice system include deterrence, retribution, restoration, and rehabilitation of offenders. In addition, it delivers substantial justice and closure to the victim, the offender, and the state. Where a law fails to achieve any of these, it is inherently defective, hence the need for amendment. Section 218 of the Criminal Code provides that anyone who has unlawful carnal knowledge of a girl under the age of 13 or attempts same is guilty of a felony and liable to life imprisonment or 14 years imprisonment respectively. My grouse, however, is with the proviso that the prosecution of the offender must be commenced within 2 months after the offense is committed. What this does is impose a statute of limitation on prosecution of these offenses. This bar to prosecution negates the principles of natural law, equity, and good conscience. This is unattainable in a country where investigations often take longer than 2 months. Considering the shortage of police personnel relative to our population as prescribed by international standards, the 2 months limitation is unlikely to be met at all. With development and innovation in forensic technology and accessibility otherwise of such infrastructure in Nigeria, rushed investigations with a view to commencing prosecution within a 2-month period leave possibility of a huge margin of error. In the event that police proceeds to prosecute outside the 2 months, all that it will take to dispel the entire charge is a challenge to the jurisdiction of the court on the basis that it was brought outside of the time allowed by law. Section 221 suffers similar fate, where it provides that where a person has or attempts carnal knowledge of a girl being of or above the age of 13 and under the age of 16, an idiot or imbecile, he shall be liable to imprisonment for a period of 2 years, provided that the prosecution is commenced within 2 months after the offense is committed. We are at a time where these sorts of crimes are on the increase daily, which we've just gone through a motion this morning. Daily, we are regaled with the tales of children as old as a few months being defiled. Should perpetrators of such crimes be allowed to go scot-free on the basis of the technicality that prosecution did not commence within 2 months? This bill also proposes an amendment to Section 221 to substitute for the word idiot or imbecile the words mentally challenged. While words like idiot, moron, and imbecile were professionally used to measure IQ, they have acquired pejorative connotations, become derogatory and obsolete, should be no longer contained in our laws.
Mr. President, many people got scot-free because of the provisions of the existing act. The issue of getting the offender prosecuted within 2 weeks, Mr. President, is rather too short. And certainly it gives room for people to escape the course of justice. And I believe the only way we can do justice to the people is to allow a period of 2 to 3 months. Mr. President, in some societies, in some societies, it is only after the pregnancy has become clear that the people will know that the girl is being defiled or she has been raped. And particularly in the northern part of Nigeria, where it is an abomination for people to come out and say their daughters have been raped. So I will suggest very strongly that we should extend the timeline to about 2 months. Mr. President, I was listening to a BBC commentary last week on the fate of a girl who was raped by one prominent businessman in a particular locality. And this prominent businessman is known to be doing that act for several times. And it was only through sheer luck that the arm of the law put up with him. The police, the district head, and other prominent leaders got hold of him in the act, and they ensured that they took him to the police, and he is now facing justice. So certainly he will be prosecuted. Mr. President, many people have suffered this kind of pure to that aspect of the law that is defective. So I commend the mover of this motion, of this bill, and the sponsor of this bill, and I urge all my colleagues to do the same. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Surajuddin Ajibola Bashiru. I represent Osun Central Senatorial District. I also stand to support that the bill be allowed for second reading and to go for expeditious passage. The content of the bill is very germane, particularly in advancing the war against violence among gender. Generally, limitation of statutes does not apply to criminal activities. So one wonders what was the rationale for providing 2-month period for instituting criminal proceeding in case of defilement of young ladies and the people who are mentally challenged. So I believe that the rationale, as it may be, if it were applicable when the criminal code was first drafted about 1897 and they adapted in Nigeria I think in about 1904, is no longer applicable under the present circumstance and arrangement. In fact, as somebody who had cause to prosecute such kind of offense as an attorney general, I know how pretty difficult those technicalities had been used in aid of letting criminal or alleged suspect to go scot-free. So in terms of removal of the statute of limitation, I think it's highly commendable. And I will say that in addition, there's a need to strengthen our evidential situation, particularly as regards issue of prosecution for sexually related offenses. There have been experiences whereby possibly I've had an experience where a youth doctor had the cause to carry out tests on the person that was a victim, but having been completed the service and prosecution was to go ahead, we had the challenge of how do you tender without the maker of that document. So there may be also a need to go further to ensure that whenever such medical record have been put in place and duly certified to having been made by relevant medical agency, it should be allowed to be used and tender in evidence and dispensed with the requirement of the maker. On the question of extension of the offense of rape to be gender neutral, I think it's also part of the innovation that is not based on the traditional conception of what rape is. Of course, much is also to be commended in terms of additional penalty for the offense of kidnapping. And I also think that in making the offense of kidnapping to be far less in terms of punitive sanction than even stealing ordinary chattel, I think it's one of the loopholes in our law that this bill will certainly fill. So I'm happy to associate with the sponsor of the bill and to also urge colleagues to ensure that the bill is expeditiously passed. Thank you, Mr. President.
The psychological damage as regards the issue of rape and other vices to the victims. I believe very strongly, Mr. President, that the amendment is apt and that the country will go to a greater extent to benefit from these amendments. Mr. President, I also believe that based on the lead debate, that the issue of kidnapping should equally be given the absolute punishment level as that of armed robbery. And also when it comes to the issue of rape, Mr. President, women, sometimes we also raped by women. So I think I also support that amendment that should also be as open as possible, such that the same applicable punishment that is applied to men who rape women can also be applied to women who will also rape some of us. So I thank you, Mr. President, and I thank the mother of the Senate for bringing this. I support in totality. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes. Oh. Now my dirty they smell like this. Now to throw away quick. This kind of smell fit make man sick. That woman throw away dirty for ground. Steph go do the same this time around.
Hold up.
See, to do that kind of badness by book, you make sure say person will look. And then you drop a nice bros. Nothing will happen. Trust me.
See, if you throw away dirty for ground, another person throw away dirty. Everybody can begin to throw away dirty for ground. Everywhere go come the smell. Gutter go block, road go block, and you will like to the dab. I say no more dabbing for you be that too. Dab.
He is my son. He didn't learn any of the things that we learned growing up.
In AJ, right?
Oh no. How long do I have? Kolade, if you're watching this, it just means that I am dead. Before you can take over my estate, I want you to spend 7 days in Ajimule. Kroger.
With that?
Yeah. I need your help.
You just say you afford my help.
Tell me, what are you really doing?
Even if the boy lasts 1 day, one day, he will still learn something.
This is a procession of colorful horses, indicative of joyful celebration from Das Emirate. Das is a local government council in Bauchi State, northeastern Nigeria, and Das Town is the headquarters of the local government council. It houses the palace of the Emir of Das, who is the traditional head of the Emirate. The Emirate has 11 districts. They are Bununu, Wadi, Bundot, Polchi, Lukshi, and Baraza. Others are Dot, Bajar, Bagal, Dur, as well as Zumbul. Das Emirate is a unique emirate.
The uniqueness of Das Emirate is very clear when it comes to we are multi-ethnic and multi-religious people. This diversity has become a source of unity and strength because of the diplomatic approach played by the Emirate under the leadership of the Emir. We are Muslims and Christians, and for more than 100 years, we have never had a single clash of be it religious, tribal, or political. Das has been one of the most outstanding peaceful emirates. That peaceful coexistence